Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another session of live markets with me, Mohak here. A lot of you know about me, and a lot of you have been. Some of my students are also there. Some of my course students, etc. Right. Uh, besides that, besides that, if there are any questions, okay, I'm going to take all of these questions. I'm not going to miss out on any one question also. Please bear with me because there's a lot of you over here. So if I'm in the middle of talking something, I might not reply immediately. I may reply separately. Besides that, if you have something very personal to ask, then you can connect with me offline. I'm very reachable, as most of you know, right? This is your first free webinar. Some people are saying that this is our first webinar. Okay, and I'm congratulating you to be here because this goes to show that all of you are here for your learning and for your progress. Okay, now a little bit about me. So I have completed the levels of chartered market technician, and I have also uh, studied fundamental analysis through the chartered financial analyst course. Been a guest lecturer in St. Xavier's College for my subject technical analysis, right? And I've been teaching since the last 4 years, been trading since the last 9+ years, and here I am today with you, sharing my ideas about markets, about technical analysis, and even some stock specifics, which we'll be getting into. So, first of all, as we begin, I hope I'm audible. Please raise your hands if I'm clearly audible. Because if most people say that I'm clearly audible, yes, most people are saying that I'm clearly audible. So if anyone has any issues, that only goes to show that maybe there's an internet issue from your side. And don't worry, this will be uploaded on YouTube, so you will catch up, right? I welcome all of you, very warm welcome. And it has been a little busy recently. I've been out of station. I'm still out of station. And the last free webinar I did on this live session basis has been some time. So I'm very excited for this day. I'm looking forward to very intelligent questions, and I've got a very good intelligent crowd. Some of you have also interacted with me personally. And today I'm going to start, so let's rock and roll. So as you can see, the screen is in front of you, my screen is in front of you, and I'm talking. So how many of you, first question, okay, I'm going to put all the hands down, and I want you all to raise your hands. First question, how many of you are deeply interested in technical analysis and technical trading and do believe there is some truth to the technical analysis and the strategies which are there, right? How many of you have the evidences, feel that there's some truth, and how many of you are really inspired, even if it is just by my channel, where I share a lot of ideas? Besides me, my team is also there, so we take care of a lot of things. A lot of people are keeping on asking us questions about the course, etc., right? One very interesting question which has come up is which is more important, technical analysis or fundamental analysis? So let me start with this one small premise and then we get into the current charts, right? So when you are looking at fundamental analysis, what we are doing fundamental analysis for is when we are going to the balance sheet, we are going to the cash flow statements, we are going to the various papers and the records of the company. We are going and digging deep into the growth of the sector. We are digging deep into how the management is going to operate. What has the trend of the company been in terms of its growth? What the trend of the sector has been? Those things are very crucial for long-term investment. But you see, when there is a news in the market, and there is a maybe sometimes a news can act as a catalyst, okay? But when there is a news in the market, what tends to happen is that uh, people tend to believe that because it's a news which is very positive, the stock should go up in the next 2-3 days or the next few hours. It is not so. Markets go up and go down because of real buying and real selling. And when you are trading, you are on leverage. Okay, आप एक के बदले पांच का माल खरीद रहे हो, एक के बदले एक का माल नहीं खरीद रहे हो. In simple words. So when you are on leverage, it is highly important that you have a strategy with entry and a stop loss which is amicable to your risk digestion. If you can digest a certain degree of risk, digest a certain degree of leverage, it will always have to be when there's a stop loss well defined, when there's an entry point which could potentially give you an immediate return. So these subtle things are a part of technical analysis because that can only happen if you study the price, right? So technical analysis just focusing on the price, and that is what you should be focusing on if you are a trader. Okay, I hope I made myself clear. Again, two very simple surface questions. Mr. Shubham is asking, do you like take lectures in Mumbai? Mr. Shubham, we can connect offline. There are multiple things I do. Sometimes I do have workshops across the country, but generally the flagship course which goes on is a 15 session course which is online and very effective. But yes, we can connect offline regarding that. Mr. Devashish Mohanati is asking, what is the technical indicator of options? Okay, so technical indicator of options. Now the whole point is, Mr. Devashish, with due respects to you, technical indicators are not holistic in nature. Technical indicators are confirmations. They are the things which help us along with the price reading. So the first layer, and even as I teach students, the first layer I always focus on teaching is first understand the price structure very well. And then indicators are something which you need to intimately understand. So if you go and intimately understand indicators, okay, if you go and intimately understand indicators, what is going to happen is going to let you use indicators creatively. You can also make your own scanners, etc., and let the chart pull you to those times where there's something interesting going to happen. Number one. Number two, when you asked what are the important implications for indicators for options, options and futures both are derivatives. They are derived from the price. Okay, options and futures are both derivatives that are derived from the price. The nature of options is different from the natures of futures. Like for example, if Nifty, for example, goes from here to here, the futures of Nifty will also have a linear relationship. It will also go higher. Most of the times, it will completely go as much high as the spot has gone, right? But if I take a call option, due to factors like delta, theta, gamma, most importantly in the last days of the month, theta, the price of the call option will move differently. Now, those factors are regardless of the demand and supply, they're regardless of the price analysis. So, your focus should be price analysis. So, when, like, for example, one of my students, he bought calls on India Bulls housing and a few days back and did give bombastic returns on a particular call option. Now the thing is that his analysis got him rooted into getting into the immediate move, and because the move was immediate, he did not suffer a time decay. Okay, now there will always not be trades like that. There will be trades which will have some time decay because the trades are maybe short to medium term. You have to deal with options differently first by knowing the instrument you're trading. First you need to know what options are about, know the instrument which you're trading. Okay, so this is what I would say. So guys, let's dive into Nifty. I hope I've answered you guys clearly. Anyone, please keep shooting questions. When I take a break to answer, I will answer, right? So one of the common questions which is there asked to me by a lot of people, and today it has been asked by Mr. Ishwar. Okay, he's saying, according to you, is positional trading good or intraday trading is good? Because I've done both and I've made loss in intraday, but in positional I have earned. Okay. Now, Mr. Ishwar and everybody else, I'm asking one question. Kindly raise your hands if you agree with me. Okay. Kindly raise your hands, and I'm going to wait for you to think and answer. Number one, trading is speculation, investment is speculation. Some people say trading is speculation, investment is not speculation. How many of you agree that both are speculation? Both are speculation. A lot of people agree. Now, anything which you're anticipating is speculation. What happens is when you go into something like a positional, like somebody over here saying it is more risky when it comes to positional because there's an overnight risk. Okay, there are a lot of these factors which one can use and think about. But the true nature of the fact is, Mr. Ishwar, maybe your personality is more amicable and more fluid when you have some time in your hand to absorb the volatility. So for you, the positional trading may be something which is your striking point. So a trader must understand specifically what his style is, and it should suit his personality. I have four different students, for example, and four of them have four different styles. They all are trained by the same person. They all follow technical holistic principles, and both of them, I mean, all four of them are having different styles altogether, which is very much possible because your personality will tend to drift towards a style which is amicable to your way of doing things. That includes your way of analysis, your way of execution, right? So that is something which you need to understand. That you cannot, there's not an apples to apples comparison. What is better and what is not better. What is better for Mr. Ishwar may not be better for Mr. Mohak, for example. So everybody will have their own spaces, and you should understand what your strengths are. So as a trader, one of the most important thing I believe is that you should all focus on your strengths, because applying your strengths again and again gives you a multiplier effect. You grow and you build upon those strengths, right? When I teach my students, there's a lot of trading psychology hacks which I teach, because over my period of learning in the very early stages, I had ups and downs as many of you are having. Many of you expressed to me that we are having ups and downs, right? It is something which is very natural part of the growth. On day one, you cannot expect yourself to be Michael Jordan. Maybe one trade can make you money, but consistency is a long-term affair, right? So that is something one must keep in mind. Say for example, now let me root down to the situation on Nifty, what I've been discussing on Nifty and Bank Nifty in the last 1 month, right? What I've been discussing with you in the last 1 month on Nifty and Bank Nifty. A lot of people have messaged me personally. So what are the calls and what is the wave count about? How do I understand this? And of course, to my batch students, I've been able to express since they're doing the concepts with me. But somewhere around these areas, I was very clear about the fact that there's a very high flying movement going to start in Bank Nifty, right? Now the problem is that a lot of people who start with new on technical analysis don't understand that they have to mix up multiple factors. You take up a book, you read the book, and you say, wow, this is a great concept. Let me find something like this in the market. And you go and jump into a trade. If it works out for you, you want to jump into the trade more aggressively. How many of you connect with what I'm trying to say? Please raise your hands once. Right? A lot of you want to jump into the trade because one concept seems too exciting. The thing is, when a variable concept, the multiple variables come together, so I don't use just one concept. I make sure that at least 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 concepts that come together on my high probability trades, right? So Bank Nifty, when I was talking about on my Telegram channel, has been a very high probability setup, right? Now, there's something called Dow theory. A lot of you must have heard of Dow theory. Now, the Dow theory talks about a series of higher highs and series of lower lows, and it says when there's a trend it tends to continue, right? But then when people come to the market, they see something which is the reality is that sometimes a series of higher highs and there's a series of lower lows, but then again a series of higher highs start, right? And this area becomes very confusing to people, that why, if I'm following Dow theory, there should be a reversal because there are lower lows. And if there is not a reversal, then why is it going up? I mean, what exactly do I believe? How many people have over here have faced this problem while understanding Dow theory? Give me a fresh set of hands raised. How many people have faced this problem while understanding Dow theory? Many of you have, right? Mr. Patel, Prashant, Shubham, a lot of people have faced this problem. Now, let me tell you, the problem with Dow theory is that it does not accommodate where the minor trends or the intermediate trends in the long-term trend are actually creating subwaves. So what R.N. Elliott did while talking about Elliott wave theory, he compiled his work, and his first letter to Mr. C.J. Collins in the Wall Street, he wrote in that letter that this is something which can complement the Dow theory very well, because there are times like these when you see that there's a series of lower lows, but then again a series of higher high starts. And if we are able to categorize it into the correct kind of subwaves, for that you need to learn what the Elliott wave patterns are. Elliott wave patterns are different from the regular patterns. So over here, if I have to say in a very surface manner to make it easy for all of you, because I don't want this session to be too difficult. At the same time, I don't want this session to be too boring for people who know a lot of things, right? Who find things interesting when they come to the nuts and bolts of technical analysis. The nuts and bolts of technical analysis are talking when Elliott wave theory says that yes, you can have a series of lower low and then it can resume to a series of higher highs again. So how do I understand it in a better manner? So there's something called a ABC correction in Elliott wave theory. So there are different kinds of corrective patterns in Elliott wave theory, which range from all the way from zigzags to flats and many others. Okay, and then there are more subdivisions under that. So there's a which is a very regular zigzag pattern over here with an extended wave C. So a wave ABC in Elliott is categorized as a correction, and this is an extended wave C. So just tell me one thing, if this is a correction, then obviously there is more to the trend. Now, at this point, I don't know this is the correction. I don't know this is the correction. At this point when I'm standing, I don't know this is a correction market will go until I go above these areas, right? So what I do is I wait and watch. And then I look for the subwaves. So here, when I came and zoomed in over here, I understood that market is doing something very interesting. To not complicate it too much, I will keep it to the daily charts and then later maybe go to the hourly chart. Okay, I'm not trying to complicate it too much. Here I saw something which is a wave 1 followed by an expanded flat. Now you will say, how can a correction make a new high? I'm saying this is the expanded flat. How can a correction make a new high? All of you will say. But yes, an expanded flat is the only pattern according to Elliott wave, and maybe one more pattern is there but very rare. But yeah, expanded flat is the only pattern, corrective pattern under the Elliott wave theory, where one new wave, a higher high, can be a part of the overall downward correction. So when I see two corrections, what are the two corrections? What are the two corrections that I see? I see a correction number 1 over here, and I see a correction number 1 over here. So basically I'm seeing a compression of some waves, and then a wave is starting. Now let's zoom into the other technical factors which I'm using over here. I'm zooming into the hourly charts and coming to the interaction points which Bank Nifty was clearly making. I have removed all the tools from the chart so that I can have this session very clearly and taken a fresh chart. Okay. Now, the first thing which I ever teach to any new student is to identify interaction points, identify trend lines. And these are the building blocks of price mechanism, which tell us how the buyers and sellers are interacting and what are the important pivoting levels. Now, there are rules to see what the interaction points are. There are rules for trend lines. And if you want to get into those deep things, definitely you should join my full 15 session course where we give lifetime support. But say, for example, these interaction points where there's a lot of interaction of buyers and sellers, which we can easily understand, are being tested again and again. So the physical nature of the pattern is again defining to me an area on the price where I can expect that there should be a steep resistance. But what happens when the price comes over here making a structure? Now I'm not going to go deeper into the Elliott wave, but I'm going to make you understand that there's a very strong structure which is being supported in the overall uptrend. And when this structure happens, there are some of my students who study Bollinger Bands. They have done excellently when they identified the structure over here and the Bollinger Band rules which I teach. There are students who have done RSI with me. I mean, that's all there in the course. But some students really love to go into one indicator and explore it in and out, right? And that is how the movement started. Now, if the prices move in multiple time frames, so it's like a small gear moving a big gear, moving a bigger gear. So if I have a big gear, it somewhere or the other small gear starts the engine. And as I told you, the wave B confirmations, etc., which came to me a little later, gave me the full confirmation of the fact that yes, it is possible that this is a very important wave. I'm not going to complicate it by labeling the wave, but it's a very important wave, right? And we can see a lot of price expansion over here. So on the 6th of March, roughly, I gave my view on Telegram, and there has been a bombastic move on Bank Nifty since then, right? Now I'm going to take up one question, which is a long question by Mr. Ishwar. He says, Sir, I have studied so many indicators, but they don't work in intraday. Sir, because all these indicators follow price and give indication after the rally is complete. So I found that there's any price action theory which is missing and seeing in the charts. I understand that the intraday best indicator is our eyes. And sir, is it right how we can use our eyes in a good manner for taking good trades? Okay. So, Mr. Ishwar, what I would really appreciate is that if you just take up the look up my YouTube channel, okay, and look at the other videos on my YouTube channel. I again and again reiterate one fact. The fact is that indicators are meant for you to understand the indication of things. There are different types of indicators. So, in the course, I teach one indicator which is a trend indicator, another indicator which is a volatility indicator, another indicator which is a momentum indicator. Now, you first have to understand what indicator is trying to tell me. Then you have to understand what the indicator is having blind spots about. What do I mean by blind spots? When you come to technical analysis, you tend to look at different concepts and you tend to only focus on those places where the price has worked very well. But there are blind spots which people tend to leave, and that is why it follows a lot of imperfection. So, what I would say is that half knowledge is actually very fatal. You should really get intimate with the indicator and understand what it is. Some of my students have reached to the level that they're actually playing around with a lot of tweaking and parameters and system designing with indicators. At the same time, a lot of students are very well versed with indicators as well as price mechanism. So when the price mechanism is showing you something, it is the reality. If I plot in, for example, I'm going to use an indicator right now. I'm going to put RSI over here. Okay. I'm not getting deep into the principles of RSI in this context of the chart at the moment. What I'm trying to say is that RSI, for example, is a bound indicator. There are indicators which are bound and there are indicators which are unbound. So this bound indicator is bound between 0 to 100. Now, price can go anywhere except for minus, but price can go anywhere. RSI can only be from 0 to 100. So obviously the reading of RSI will have a different implication and the reading of price will have a different implication. And RSI is nothing but a derivative of price. So whatever the price is showing, the RSI is showing as a calculation through a formula. How many of you even understand the RSI formula before using RSI is my question. A lot of people fall into the trap of 70-30, overbought, oversold. All that is nonsense, let me tell you. RSI is very detailed. If you need to learn it, you need to have a lot of sets of observation. We do it with a lot of examples and sample set in class. And then there will be certain market situation where the best of every indicator will come. You need to identify and ignore the rest. The best of indicator will come. Those market situations are the situations you need to focus on, right? Then you have important aspects from candlesticks. Like right now as I speak, just today itself, I was, some students have been messaging regarding this. And yes, there is a very bullish possibility, even right now with Nifty and Bank Nifty. Okay. I'm not coming to any conclusion or trade entries. If I have it, I will tell it right now, as I've been saying before also. But overall, the bullishness, like yesterday when I spoke about Nifty, at 10,540 around levels, right? So you see how the uptrend is happening. There have been wave counts and there has been a very strong price structure which has supported all of that. Now, when there is a bullish implication in the market, the RSI behavior will be different. Where there's a sideways implication in the market, the RSI behavior will be different. But all of this RSI and RSI behavior, okay, all of this RSI and RSI behavior is something which is a derivative of price. It is not the price itself. Okay. So First, you need to understand those things intimately and then go into price. The price structure is going to decide your M2M, your entry, your exit, your stop loss, etc. Okay. Now let's take up some stocks. As I spoke about the broader trend of Bank Nifty and Nifty, especially Bank Nifty, I'm trying to say that when a strong move has started, it will be accompanied by subwaves, as I mentioned in Telegram also. By the way, those who are watching this on YouTube, I want to follow me on Telegram. There's a link below. You can track me on Telegram through that link. Okay. If I'm going to take two stocks, one is Yes Bank and the other is Maruti. So Yes Bank has been one of my favorite picks, although I've not really spoken so much about it on Telegram. But yes, that is something which I've been liking to trade. And all the implications of Bollinger Band and Elliott Wave theory we're going to do over here, right? So, as I said, a lot of things are different about the markets when you actually go and analyze than from a textbook style. So, what happened when Yes Bank created these kind of movements and there was a pump up over here? If I just simply weigh the evidences of the volume and the kind of candle we saw a very good green bullish belt hold line candle, and this candle is a very strong candle with high volumes. Now my understanding goes like this, that if there's a move starting from here and this is a correction of the move, there's a possibility that along with this green candle we are seeing some higher levels coming up. So this is my broader implication of Elliott. Okay, in a very simple trend manner I'm trying to say. Now what the subwaves are over here, you will need a lot of training for you to understand that. But over here, at least I can understand that there's a new move which could lead to new highs. What I don't know is how this move will unfold. Okay. So what I tend to do is I try to mix up whatever variables I have. So let me go back to this day to show you how these things are going to unfold. So primarily when I talk about price structure and price patterns and trend lines, price patterns, trend lines, interaction points, I categorize under the price structure. That means how the price is actually moving and the framework of bullishness and bearishness. When I'm looking at candlesticks, I categorize them as price flow. Price flow. Okay. When flow meets the structure, I like to take trades because that shows me that multiple variables are in there. Okay. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to put the Bollinger Band right away. So Bollinger Band here for you all, right? So here we see that there is a move above the Bollinger Band to start with. Okay. Now a lot of people come to me, sir, Bollinger Band ke upar gaya to sell, niche gaya to buy. That all is not that all is nonsense again. When the Bollinger Band is piercing through the upper end of the band continuously, okay, there are instances when the entire upward range becomes very important. So the middle band and the upper band, this range will become very important, which tended to become, right? And then we saw that when there is another green hold bullish line, belt hold line over here with high volumes, these are double implications that this wave started over here. There's a subwave beginning over here. See how I'm trying to zoom in. How many of you are following me clearly, loud and clear? Kindly raise your hands once. Thank you. How I'm trying to zoom in to the smaller time frames to get more precision. If you understand me, kindly raise your hands. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of hands are raised. Those who are not understanding could follow slowly, right? Thank you so much. So, when I started off from a very bigger premise, I started off from the fact that, okay, now Bank Nifty on the daily chart is heading towards a new high. This is not a confirmation until we actually go to the new high, but this is a evidence where I can give some weight to. Okay. Then I zoom in and I see that there's another place where the same thing is happening with a very strong candle. Again, I can give weight to this. Then what happens? I stick to something called Bollinger Band, and where the Bollinger Band squeeze is happening. So you notice what the squeeze is about. Bollinger Bands are about two standard deviations up and down. and therefore this shows the price volatility. Okay. In our classes, we go in much more details and start from the very basic level. I'm just trying to show you the conclusion of our analysis and a trade, right? So over here, when there's a Bollinger Band squeeze, you see how this squeeze is leading to an expansion of the band later. So, for example, when the squeeze is coming off, by the time the squeeze is coming off, there's a price structure also. What is the price structure? Let me just hide this band for some time and show you the price structure. The price structure is over here. Okay. The price structure is over here. Now this is a double breakout of a sideways movement. That means that two layers of, if you look closely, there are two layers of breakout which is happening. One is over here and one is over here, slightly higher, followed by this green candle. So there is a very strong, high probable entry over here. And how do I follow the trend? I follow the trend by keeping what in mind? I keep the upper band in mind. I keep the upper band and the middle band in mind. So what do I do is, again, I'll put Bollinger and I'm going to keep the upper band and the middle band in mind. So this upper band is piercing, which is a sign of sudden volatility which has come in. Now markets, when they start moving, they're just like accelerating a car. The car keeps moving forward. Even the acceleration is gone, it will keep moving forward because the speed is still there, right? So there's a sudden acceleration over here and it recovers to the middle band and continues this acceleration. These are the strongest points of the move. And if you can follow the trend, you've got a move with the entry at around 220 all the way to a massive 236 in a matter of 3 to 4 days, right? So you need to understand technical analysis and the implication in a certain manner. So this was an example how I'm zooming into the bigger to smaller time frame. Now let's understand a different concept of technical analysis through candlesticks and through interaction points. So I saw Maruti has been a very strong bearish movement, in a very strong bearish trend, right? And over in these areas, how many of you were there on my Telegram channel when I shared my call on the short position over here? I shared a call, I shared a trading idea that there's a short position which could be taken over here and held on to. How many of you were there on my channel and followed this call? Can you raise your hands, please? Right? How many of you? Okay, 5, 6. Okay, some more people. If not, then you can go back to this date and check out the Telegram channel. I've spoken about how this is going to work out, and I've also mentioned that you should hold on to it. Now the result became a catalyst, and yes, that increased the momentum of the move. As a catalyst, it acted. Okay, now I'm going to come to some important points on the daily and the weekly chart. So if I take up the weekly chart, I notice that these areas are areas where the price has really shown me some power. Now the interaction points sometimes are not a point alone, they are zone. They are a zone. So I'm very happy with these zones when I see this. And the last few days I saw the market coming and resting in this zone again, right? Market coming and resting in this zone again. Okay, Mr. Jill Maru, I will take care of it. Okay. I also discuss Apollo tires, which is just started moving. I can see it on my watch list on my phone. I don't use my phone for trading, just to tell you all. I'm just using it because right now my screen is occupied with your session right now. So this is how Apollo tires has been started to move. Thank you so much, Mr. Maru, for the information. Right. Now coming back to Maruti, right? Yeah. So over here, when I see that there's a cluster of candles. Now, where is this cluster of candles forming? This cluster of candles forming where there's already strong interaction between buyers and sellers. And these strong interaction between buyers and sellers are suggesting to us that the price over here has started to have some memory, right? Price over here has started to have some memory, okay? Price over here has started to have some memory, right? How many of you are following me? Kindly raise your hands. How many of you are following till now what I'm saying? And if you have any questions, please shoot, no problem. There are already some questions piled up. Thank you so much. Thank you, right? Now price has memory. Okay. Now what happens is, when the price comes back to this place, okay, when a price has come back to this place, you have to understand it recalls that what I did over here, right? So for example, you have gone and gone to a particular place and gone to a restaurant and you had a great time. The next time you pass by that restaurant, you have the memory, oh, I went there. That is how the price behaves. Oh, I went there. Doesn't mean that always you have to go inside and eat again in the restaurant, but it's go and say, oh, I went there, right? So over here, when it comes, it is stopping at that restaurant. I say, oh, tasty food, let me smell. So when it stops, it starts smelling the food and said, okay, let me go and check the menu. Maybe there's some new menu. Okay, let me just order something light. And then it says, okay, let me have the whole meal. And that entire process of stopping at the restaurant, smelling the good food, seeing that, oh wow, this is the same place I went with my friends or with someone else, like, and wow, I want to have a great time eating over here again. All this will take some time, right? Because you won't immediately order when you stop, right? And that is the pattern structure which is forming. And when the pattern structure is formed and there are confirmations regarding that, bang, the entry points, there's movement, there's momentum, there's acceleration, and bang, 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 you go up, right? Strong green candle. The zone is perfect. This is how the picture perfect trade is happening. Now, this is the live session, a live trade today. But in Yes Bank, there were other areas. I explained only one area. There were other areas, like for example, yesterday and day before, when the price actually went beyond certain Elliott wave patterns and certain highs. Look at the gusto, look at the momentum, look at the volumes. So when the volumes are high, many people define technical analysis as the study of price and volumes. What it actually means, when volumes tend to cement the price, and volumes have very interesting implications. If you want to really go in detail with the volumes, you should go to my YouTube channel and find this entire video on volumes and open interest. Okay. And if you want to go further more detail into technical analysis, you can join my 15 session course. We're starting a batch tomorrow. It's a Saturday, Sunday course. If anybody wants to join, can send their number and on the message box, my team will contact you. If anybody wants to join, you can send their numbers in and my team will contact you. Look at the way the price has been cemented by the volumes. Okay, now let's check out what was happening in Maruti while the same thing happened, like while an up move happened 2-3 times. What was the implication of volumes over here? Again, we see that there is a cluster of higher volumes in the last 3 to 4 days. And these are the really interesting things. There have been very high volumes over here, but there's been a fight between the bulls and the bears, right? There have been significant volumes as these spike lows have been made, right? These are the evidences, basically the stronger hands are actually leaving. These are the evidences, right? Some of you have started giving me their numbers to me. My team will contact you if you want to join the batch tomorrow. And some other questions are there. Okay, Arpit, no, not exactly. It was not exactly that. Since you are in the coming up batch, I will explain you in the batch what it was. Give it some time. Um, it was not exactly what you're saying, but it's a good attempt. What you thought is a good attempt. Uh, Ishwarji is asking, sir, when I do intraday, I see daily time frame support and resistance breakout. If it happens, then I see 15-minute time frame support resistance breakout. I see pivot, I see pivoting R1, S1 breakout. Trade goes out of my hands. I think Ishwarji, you have a lot of potential. Genuinely I say this. There is There are a lot of students around me and we are doing excellent stuff together. I genuinely recommend you to join the 15 session course. You have a lot of potential to refine your understanding and actually expand it in a very right way. So I generally request you to consider, whenever you feel like, you should explore other YouTube videos of mine. It will give you a lot of clarity, and definitely you should explore the aspects of the 15 session course which I teach. In the 15 session course, I dedicate 2 sessions to even options and futures, which is actually a lot of detailed learning. There have been people all the way from backgrounds like some people in very esteemed government jobs, some people in the IT profession, some people in the you're doing offbeat things like photography and choreography, and there was a actor in one of my sessions. There have been a lot of people from different walks of life and backgrounds and professions who have done this. There have been housewives who have doing this. A lot of other ladies have been doing this. So it's very interesting when a lot of people come and have this genuine zest for markets, genuine zest for learning. And believe me, as Shubham was asking in the beginning of this class, if I go and do a lecture in Bombay, yes, I do have workshops. Sometimes during the year, I do have workshops. But those 2 days workshops are good. Yet the 15 session course is super effective because you get 2 sessions and then you get the chance to actually assimilate what you have learned throughout the week, and then you get another 2 sessions, and this process goes on for 2 months. A 2 month interaction with me is far better than a 2 day interaction with me, right? So that way, now we're going to come to Apollo tires today. Again, this was given on Telegram. Again, a massively amazing chart structure, amazing move. I just loved how the way it is moving around. It's just so amazing to see how the different aspects of charts, they don't look okay. Anybody who does not go into the depth of technical analysis, it might not look so bullish to him at some point, but actually the secret ingredients are all present over here. And just to give you a small understanding of the very last thing, okay, there have been other aspects on the weekly and the daily charts we are seeing. Okay, so the weekly candlesticks, the daily areas of wave counts in terms of the trend and the reverting of the trend, the possibilities of the subwaves over here, all that coupled with the price structure and the cup and handle pattern, which is a cup and handle, okay, which is a very developed handle. So if the left side of the cup is not so developed, but the right is so developed, that means we've got a lot of time correction. And the breakout which is happening, there's a lot of continuation happening like that, right? So when the breakouts happen, right, the breakouts are like an acceleration, but the car will keep moving forward, okay. Mr. Mahavir Singh ji has given his number. Thank you so much. My team will contact you, right? And definitely, I'm very genuinely happy to see your interest. So, in case of Apollo tires, you see completely different stock, completely different implications. Maruti was completely different stock, completely different implications. Yes Bank, completely different stock, completely different implications. Before that, Bank Nifty, completely different implications. all of these all of these have a holistic technical approach, because it may look different, but the similarities are hidden in the details. So when you go into the details, the similarities are actually shouting out to you. When you look at this chart after a training of technical analysis, and when you're looking at chart before learning anything about technical analysis, your brain and your eyes see something completely different, because here you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay, I'm seeing these interesting things on the weekly chart. There is a bullish engulfing candle followed by a hammer. So these areas are important. There's a weekly hammer over here, along with something which I might call a spinning top and a continuation of this consolidation. So these things are important. So these zones will be important. Let me check this daily chart if these zones are important. Let me take the daily chart. So I go to the daily chart, I see, okay, these zones are actually important because there were consolidations from where it came. So price has memory over here. So if price has memory over here, over here, over here, it is like the restaurant it likes to go to, and it will always remember that restaurant because it loved the food over there, right? It comes back and goes near to this restaurant and say, "Oh, I want to eat here." So it goes inside the restaurant and orders the food and creates a pattern in that. It's called a cup and handle pattern. There's a breakout. Yes, you need that much analysis to make money in the markets. You need to work hard. You need to put in the effort. You need to put in the hours. You need to put in the training. If you want to make money in the markets, how many of you want to really unapologetically be super rich over here? Unapologetically rich. Kindly raise your hands once. How many of you are scared of being rich? How many of you want to be unapologetically rich? Raise your hands. That's what the attitude I need. Because when you have that goal, your actions will be pulled in that manner. Your beliefs and your expressions will be pulled in that manner. And if you are able to do the kind of hard work which I'm trying to show you, the kind of analysis which goes behind all that is shared on Telegram, even this Telegram having so many thousands of followers, it's a homework of many, many years. And all the assimilation of my experimentation, research, reading, formal education, all that I bundle it into the course, right? Somebody is asking a question. So I found that the head and shoulder and emphasis did not work out. And I'm seeing that when you see these 90% it works. I've seen bearish engulfing pattern, Bank Nifty also did not work. Okay. Okay. Let me just take one of these, Mr. Ishwar. You said Bank Nifty bearish engulfing. First of all, I'll be very clear over here. There is no bearish engulfing in Bank Nifty. Okay. There is no bearish engulfing in Bank Nifty. Okay. This is not a bearish engulfing. Okay, you're talking about this perhaps. You have to look at other things, no, Mr. Ishwar? Look at the weekly trend. Look at the overall trend, the strength of the trend. Why do you want to go against the trend? One candlestick, one variable is not going to be the only factor behind your best of trades. And when I talked about in Telegram the bearishness of the market, it was not on the basis of daily bearish engulfing. It was on the basis of Nifty candles. One second, I'll just. It was on the basis of Nifty candlestick structure over here, right? And on the 15 minutes also. So it is something which you need to explore more. You're going and not in the wrong direction. I do appreciate your progress and everything. But I really feel that you have a lot of potential to go in depth. Any questions? Anything specific to technicals, trading, psychology? Please shoot. The fees is 12,500 rupees. It's a very nominal fees, and you're asking about the support. So basically, all my students from the last 4 years, all of them are in touch, and every month we have a free class for them. In case they want to ask anything, share any stories, any doubts. So very well connected group here. My view on Hindustan Unilever and Escorts has been asked, so I will take up that. So okay, so the thing is that in case of Hindustan Unilever, okay, the overall trend in the very broader time frame is up. There has been a strong consolidation in the last 3 to 4 days. Yes, it could trigger a buy if it sustains above 17, 13, 17, 15 levels. So yes, Mr. Shubham, it could be a strong buy above that. Although I really need to give it some more time and do deeper analysis before I personally take a trade. because I also see that the waves over here are in a very bearish structure. So I will need to look at that. But yes, definitely, I think there is momentum coming up after 1713 and 1715 across. I really feel this could really be bombastic. And if you start seeing candles with high volume coming, you could participate on this trade. The immediate targets would, apart from the pattern target, okay, which I'm not going to get into because everybody will get biased. Immediate targets like the immediate interaction zones would be important. So something like a 1765 or something like a 1730 to start with as a shorter target. All those things will be important. Thank you, Mr. Shubham, for this interesting question. Then I'm going to come to Maruti. I've already discussed with all of you. Uh, what was the stock apart from Hindustan? Escorts, yeah. So I'm going to come to escorts now. Okay. My view on escorts, I personally don't have a view. I saw this chart a few days back, I mean, a few hours back also. Not a very strong view from the short term trading point of view. I would want to see more price data on this chart to come to a conclusion, right? Okay, I'm starting to get a lot of stocks, so I'm going to take one stock by each person. I'm not going to go into each and every stock because it will just cloud this thing. My view on NMDC, Mr. Debashi is asking. Okay, NMDC must understand a certain nature of stocks, like when they are in a very long-term bearish mode, okay, and volatility is higher than general, higher than general. First of all, you need to be a little careful on the long side. The second, on the short-term point of view, what I see is that yes, the price has come to important zones. I again need more price data because it's not anything conclusive. We could easily drag down, etc. Because what wave we see over here could be just a pullback in the overall downtrend. Okay, so I'm going to be a little careful with this. If I have to go long, I would not go aggressively short. Also, there's a potential that if we rest over here and start going up, there could be some upward move which could happen. More questions are there. I want some theoretical questions also, just not stocks and all, because I like to give those things which are going to sustain you for the long term. Okay. Cup and handle nature, yes. So Hindustan Unilever, there's a cup and handle pattern, right? Yes, there's a cup and handle pattern. It's still in the making, not conclusively broken out. Okay, about the brokers in India recommendation, Arpit, this is going to be on YouTube, so I don't want to be taking any sides. Do I prefer with discount brokers or full-time brokers? I would say, everything has its plus and minuses. Both have the pros and cons. What I would prefer may not be something fit for anyone else, but I really think that it could be a very good option if somebody is looking for lower brokerage rates for discount brokers. And if somebody is comfortable with paying some brokerage and wants services other than the brokerage, then the full-time broker is better. Right? Okay, Mr. Jay Patel is asking something. Okay, Mr. Jay Patel, you be rest assured, it's a 15 session course. Students who come to me from different walks of life are not professional traders. We start from the very basic and then we head on to the very advanced. So when we start from the very basic, the class number one, the session number one, which will be tomorrow, we'll start from the premise of what technical analysis is, what technical trading is, right? As we see now, so Mr. Jay, you feel free. If you have shared your number, I will note it down. My team will contact you. Not an issue. Hitesh is asking, what is M&M Finance? Okay, now M&M Finance is very, very interesting. And in between, I'd also said, exit the position. I will just say, okay, yes, Mr. Jay Patel, you can send your number here, not a problem. So, M&M Finance, few days back, okay, uh, one second. So, and M Finance, here we go. Very interesting chart. So, what happened is on the hourly chart, I was looking at certain evidences which were great candlesticks, and then it turned out to be a tweezer bottom. Purposely, sometimes I don't share all the calls because it gets overcrowded on Telegram. But somewhere after the buy call given over here, I made you guys exit in a very minor loss because the breakout was not following through. There was no breakout in the sense. So more structure what invited, and the next day morning we did enter. Some other students also entered the stock and enjoyed the uptrend, right? Yes, Mr. Deepak, you send in your number, the course content and all details will be sent to you. Immediately, my team will contact you. Not a problem. Since we're starting tomorrow, oh, it's very nice that you understand the course content first and then take a decision. But since we're starting tomorrow, immediately the course content will be given to you as it is given to all the people. We start from a very basic and then we go to advanced level. The whole essence is to bring together people and create a community, train them, support them in the long term, so that a very good culture of knowledge and culturing of skill happens. This is something which is very, very important. Okay. So, guys, I think we'll conclude this session. Okay, somebody was asking about BHEL, Mr. Vijay. BHEL. Let's talk about BHEL if there's something interesting. Okay, so yes, I did track this stock along with the same stocks in the same sector a few days back. Yes, Mr. Vijay, today morning has been very interesting as an entry point for BHEL. Today morning, these moves coming out of multiple consolidations, something close to what I explained about Jindal Steel a few weeks back when I did the last live session. So yes, we do see strong movements in structure, and it would be getting too technical if I say something very very complicated. But just look at the volumes and look at the trend. Wait for the dips because these are secular structures. These are not structures which are more flat or horizontal. Okay, so buying on dips etc or looking for fresh trades on the long side could be one of the strategies which would be recommended. However, there could be a broader structure forming on the major time frame. Again, you see the weekly charts also very strong with a lot of volume this week. So thank you, Mr. Vijay, for putting up that interesting stock. DHFL, last I'm taking up DHFL, I'm taking up as the last this thing. I'm sorry if I don't mean to make anybody feel bad, but there are a lot of recommendation asking stocks, this, that. So don't want to deviate too much from the learning perspective as well as cover a lot of stocks. So DHFL, a lot of times I'm asked constantly about stocks which have fallen like crazy. uh, I would tell all of you one thing. Genuinely, I respect all of your asking question, but never preempt a reversal. Don't go in a hurry in a falling stock because trends tend to expand, and no matter who the technical analyst is, the job is not to look for supports. The job is to look for price setups which give an entry. I many times tell to my friends also when they ask question that until I don't have a trade, I don't have a view. Okay. Until I don't have a trade, I don't have a view. And over here in the sessions when I'm teaching, I try to be more as much as possible very clear about the technical aspect. Now some trades will be aggressive. Okay. So for example, I'm going to share what I saw on Grasem. And similar thing I saw on Escorts. as I said, escorts is not something which is a very broad view, right? But the similarity of those points are very important, right? So we have, uh, as many of you be knowing, many of you don't know also, is that of course all the trades, most of the trades are approved by me, and most of the trading ideas, but there's a team and we work very hard with a lot of things in place. Shubham, just to conclude on DHFL, I don't have any secular view at the moment. It could go sideways, and I'm in no mood to preempt any kind of reversal. Okay, if that happens, it could happen, and it would happen only beyond, price needs to go really beyond that. After such sharp falls, I think the price needs to rest a little bit so that it can curb the volatility it has taken a hit. It can curb the volatility which it has taken, right? So I'm getting about 6 to 7 more questions on stocks, like a lot of stocks. I'll just take one last. I'm really sorry for those who I'm not taking. I'll take the central bank wala thing. Okay. So again, the reason I took this because somebody asked, is this really amicable? Because the credit rating has improved for the bank. Okay. Now, two things I'll tell you all. The bank balance sheets are very different reading than the general balance sheets of any company. If the bank does not pay off its credit, or the credit score is bad, it would definitely mean that the bank is gone bust. Now, a lot of PSU banks are funded by the government continuously. On the other hand, whenever these banking stocks are having volatile moves, understand, and I don't mean to say anything fundamental, but since you raised this question, I will conclude it like that. That this has gone down for a reason also. Okay, if you have to see it really fundamental. So don't get into any kind of a short-term news impulse, because again, when trends are against. On the other hand, you have a lot of banks which are outperforming, right? Which are outperforming in general compared to the chart which we just saw, right? So kindly understand those points, okay? And that would be the end of the session. But I think I should take in one person's request because he has messaged. He's asking about Reliance, and I'll take up Reliance. So, Mr. Mahavir ji, one thing I would say is that, see, it is not a trader's this thing to make views according to 1 month, according to 1 week or 1 day. So I don't have a setup over here where I can call something on Reliance for 1 month. All I can say is the trend is up and it can continue. Okay, but I would not say that okay it has to continue for 1 month, or these things are not in my hands, right? So yes, there's an uptrend and it can continue, but I would not say that you take my words like it's a 1 month view. Okay, and if you are into trading, understand one thing, that before you enter a trade, before you actually take up any kind of risk, you need to be very clear about your time frame of trading, your position sizing, right, and the probability, subjective probability of the trade you have gone into. So please, everybody, risk your money only on trades which you feel are high probable. Low probability trades are not worth it to risk your money on. On the last point, I'll show you about Grasim. The support zones which were seen in the recent past were over here. Now this is an aggressive trade. Similarly, what happens with, and this aggressiveness actually led on to a bigger structure, but this was relatively aggressive. Similarly, escorts, if you go along right now, is relatively aggressive. Okay, so the aggressiveness is not something which I am going to talk about over here, because those are not holistic setups as of now. Sometimes we have to be aggressive. I'm not saying have to. Sometimes we can choose to be aggressive. Okay, sometimes we can choose to be aggressive, but then the price would unfold in a different manner. So when there are certain setups, there is a uniformity in your style. The uniformity leads to the price unfolding with a certain uniformity, right? I hope all of you are understanding what I'm trying to say. Okay, guys, so I think today we will conclude the session. We had quite a long, interesting session. Thank you so much for joining me. Raise your hands if you understood and liked the session. Loud and clear, you can raise your hands. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for those personal messages I'm just seeing. It's really nice of you all to take out the time for your learning. And I'm sending in my number here. If anybody wants to call me, contact me personally for some reason. Everybody receive my number? I've sent it on the message. Okay, and you all can send your number if you are interested in my team contacting you and getting into training with me. So, guys, overall, my blessings and good wishes with all of you. May God bless your progress with trading. Have a great time trading. Make a lot of money. Have fun. Have fun. That's the most important part. Have fun trading. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the learning. And if there are times where there are hiccups, don't give up. uh, Always fall back onto your learning, and the roots of your and the reserves of your learning are going to be very important. Keep coming to sessions like this, because presence of all of you encourages me to actually give more sessions like these. Those who are genuinely interested, it's a very value for money course we have done, so it's without thinking you can just join the course and enhance your game with trading overall. A lot of reviews and testimonials of students are also shared from time to time because they're doing very, very well. Thank you so much. Have fun. Thank you again for those messages. Thank you so much. Take care. Goodbye. Good night. Enjoy.